So overall, why am I selling my Switch? I have one theme, and that theme is that I was sold an idea when I bought the Switch. This is no spec tech. Oh, I'm so sorry I'm late. Were you waiting for me? Busy, busy, busy. I have 30 something subscribers right now, and we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about the Nintendo Switch and why I'm getting rid of it. Other than the fact that I spent a little bit too much money on gear for this channel. The reason this decision was made a little bit easier for me is actually because of Nintendo, the company itself. Reason number one is the way Nintendo has been going about business lately. I fully support a business's right to grow and make money. Of course, when you're delivering a product that people want and people are willing to pay for, this whole Pal World lawsuit has really struck an accord with me. And I know there are layers that I can't even begin to understand, so I don't want to get into the nuance, but I've done enough reading to know that Nintendo is driving smaller businesses, smaller developers, and the opportunity for us as consumers to have a better experience. But the types of claims Nintendo has been making over patents and lawsuits to keep newer companies in court, it's heartbreaking. I don't think it's fair, and I don't think everybody should boycott the company or anything, but I do think there are steps I can take to not contribute in ways I don't want to. They're also preventing other developers from putting their entire video games onto a cartridge. You have to be connected to the internet in order to fully download it onto your system. This way, they can monitor whether or not you're using the system the way they want you. And if they, for whatever reason, decide that they don't like the way you're using their system, they can lock it down forever. That $500 device that you purchased is completely useless. I would never judge anyone for enjoying the Switch, and this is not my way of trying to start a movement. This is my way of being transparent with the few people who might be interested in watching my point of view on this particular topic. Reason number two is that it's just not as social as I expected it to be. When I watched the commercials and imagined myself playing this, I saw it bringing me together with friends and family and connecting with people that I sometimes have a hard time keeping in touch with. I live far away from my family and most of my friends, so gaming is a unique opportunity to bring us together while doing something that we really like without having to consciously set time aside. I know Nintendo may not have made these promises, so I'm not saying it was false advertisement or anything. The system is absolutely capable of what was advertised in those commercials. What I'm saying is, for me, getting rid of the Switch makes more sense since I haven't brought any of those ideas I had when I was watching those advertisements to life. On top of that, the prices for Nintendo Online have gotten outrageous. I have a couple of accounts so that I can get more use out of each game. So if I finish a run through on, let's say, Pokemon Sword and Shield, and I want to play from the beginning again, I just go into my second account and play that way. This means I have to have a Nintendo Switch Online family account. The way it's crept up over the past couple of years just doesn't seem worth the squeeze to me. Believing that this game system was going to help me keep in touch with people I haven't been the best about contacting all the time was a great idea, but in actuality, I have not played with anybody since getting the system the day it came out. And reason number three is the games just aren't as fun as they used to be. This may be me getting older, it may be the games themselves. When I see a trailer for a game or I hear advertisements and reviews about games, the idea of playing them seems a lot better than the actual experience that I have with them. I actually find myself getting frustrated with the amount of information being thrown at me in all of these games. I talked about having that second account so that I can play the game again, but I have struggled to get past the first hour or two every time I've gone in to do that because it's just so frustrating to have to go through all of these remedial steps that I have known since I was 9 or 10 years old. And there's no way to skip them. Becoming frustrated with a game that I feel like is taking too much time is the complete opposite feeling than what I want when I'm playing a video game. I want to lose track of time and fall into a state of flow where my experiences become parts of my imagination that I'm actually living in. Now, every time there's a challenge, there's an NPC waiting there to hold my hand through all of it. Reason number four is that I spend more on these games than I gain from them. These businesses have an obligation to their shareholders, but as the consumer, I shouldn't know that I'm unhappy with what I purchased so frequently. Gaming companies do a great job at marketing and making me believe that next time, the next game I get is going to be that fulfillment I've been waiting for or looking for in a video game. It's going to be the one that I can just pour myself into and escape to another world. Time and time again, that's not the case. Hey, what's up? Editor Neighbor Nerd here. I was listening to my rough draft and realized I kind of dropped the ball on point number one. First of all, Obviously, this is just my opinion. Of course, there are going to be exceptions on my end and on a lot of other people's ends. But one of the things I didn't discuss, it sometimes feels like they're squeezing money out of consumers instead of providing a service that we're paying for. It's supposed to be an exchange that at least feels equal, and it just doesn't recently. I actually understand why prices for games have gone up recently. They're getting more expensive to make, they're taking a lot more time, and it's adjusting for inflation. With that being said, if I'm going to spend as much as they're asking, I expect a complete product. Far too often, these have felt like draft versions of the video game, laggy and glitchy, and that's just not fair. On top of that, DLCs have served a good purpose in the past, but recently it's just out of hand. Maybe it's happened historically, but to me it just doesn't make sense, not for the games that I've always played. To paywall a portion of that video game when so many people are going to be investing their hard-earned money and time and positive energy. To me, it seems like the game is capitalizing on the mobile gaming model where you kind of pay as you go and you end up getting a forever customer. I don't know how far they may or may not push that. If people are going to pay, they're probably going to put it into practice, unfortunately. I remember being able to spend hours playing video games, knowing the entertainment value was worth it. As I got older and became more aware of my mental, physical, emotional, spiritual health and well-being, I could still play these games for hours on end, knowing the enjoyment I was getting out of these was doing good in the long run. I just don't think that's the case anymore with any of the games I've purchased in the last couple of years. So I find myself spending money on these games that I almost never end up playing. Some I open up and play for a little bit and then never go back to because it just doesn't hook me the way games used to. And it's not only that I don't have as much fun when I do buy the games, it's that sometimes I don't even play them. Just like we do with all these streaming services, it's more fun to scroll through them and explore the potential entertainment options than it is to actually sit down and enjoy something. Having the virtual games means we can instantly have any video game at our fingertips with minimal consideration for what that purchase actually means. The amount of money I've spent over the past few years on games that I've played for less than an hour, I don't even know how much it is, and I'm not going to calculate it because it would not only be angering, but embarrassing. So, in so many ways, I spend more than I gain from modern games. And speaking of spending, we need to stop buying these digital games. The more we do it, the further we're going to get from having the option to have physical media. And as I was listing this for sale on eBay, I realized just how many games I've never played and would like to include, but I can't because I don't own them. I only own the license to them as long as Nintendo tells me that I do. That's money that I feel like I've thrown away because I got nothing out of spending it. Making mistakes like these has of course made me more conscious of my spending. But my ADHD brain can sometimes get a little overzealous when new games or new systems or new tech comes out. I find myself going back down that rabbit hole of optimism, honestly. Maybe this time the games that I purchase will be more fulfilling or entertaining or socially connecting. And reason number 5 is that I have a Nintendo Switch, and that one has brought me so much joy, and it plays all of the games I own other than the most recent Super Mario World. I also have handhelds like this that I can emulate the games that I have purchased over time and stuff like that. I can have any of the games that I played as a child on here. These don't distract me and try to sell me games I don't need. And part of the reason I named this channel No Spec Tech is because specs are used to sell us things we don't need. The new Switch is beautiful, but if you can get a first generation Switch for $300 cheaper than you can get the Switch 2, most kids aren't going to notice a difference. There are heavy gamers that are going to no doubt benefit from those specs. But most Nintendo gamers that I know, myself included, do not need that level of performance for the Nintendo games. The fact that they didn't put certain things like an OLED screen in this new Switch, or better controllers that won't drift over time like the original Switch has, in my opinion, are money grabs. We all know they're going to release an OLED version in the next couple of years, and that we're going to buy replacement controllers instead of sending them to Nintendo like we actually can. We can send the controllers to Nintendo and they will send you replacements or they will repair yours. I want to give one caveat here. If you play the Switch in handheld mode more than you play it on the TV, or if you depend on it for entertainment when you're traveling, the Switch 2 is so much better in handheld mode. There's also the OLED version of the original Switch, so I guess the Switch 1.5 almost, that looks way more modern than the first Switch. So there are those options. If you have an iPad, or especially an iPad mini, because it's just the perfect size, you can get one of those clamp controllers for somewhere between $50 and $100. Especially if you're into retro gaming, it's an awesome alternative to purchasing a Switch. So overall, why am I selling my Switch? I've listed some reasons here, and I've gone into not enough depth on some of those reasons and too much depth on others. But I have one theme, and that theme is that I was sold an idea when I bought the Switch, just like I'm sold an idea every time I purchase a game. I'm not out here boycotting anybody, and I'm going to be fully transparent and say that I've spent money on building this channel. Nothing crazy, right? But I've spent enough to where I was like, what can I sell around here that isn't meaningful to me? And I looked at the Switch and I realized the Switch 2 does not have the sentimental value that the original Switch has. I played it a lot the first month it came out, mostly on my TV, and the ideas that have been sold to me, especially the social ones, right? It's all about connecting with other people, and maybe there are those out there who are doing it a lot better than I am, but I find myself never really making the time to make the Switch social. So the ideas that were sold to me just haven't come to fruition, just like most of the time when it comes to the games I buy, the ideas of the fun I'm about to have don't come about either. I don't know how much I've emphasized it, but the goal of this channel really is to help tech work for you in your world, your way. Technology is fun, and it's something that should benefit our lives, not run it. As I strive to make each video better, I know they'll never be perfect. I am striving for connection, not perfection. If you have a favorite game on the Switch, or a favorite retro game, or an opinion that you would like to share with me, I would love to hear it. Thank you for listening to my rant and putting up with my cheesy sense of humor. I hope you feel like you've gained something from this video and that you stop by to visit again. Have a beautiful day. And if I do buy Pokemon Legends ZA, I'm going to buy a physical copy so that I own it, and I can share it with friends who want to try it out before they make their purchasing decision. And if one day I decide I don't want it anymore, I can gift it or sell it because it would be my property.